Hey, good morning, friends. I've got my hot cup of coffee ready to go. Hey, by the way, if you want to pick up a tumbler like this one or a cool shirt, those are on yankeeontheprairie.com. Just visit there. And I'll also leave a link down in the description so you can pick them up. We are on our way to the Oklahoma History Center. And I am really excited about this because Oklahoma, oddly, has a lot of unique history that you wouldn't expect to find in what's essentially a flyover state. Nobody thinks of Oklahoma as being an innovative place, but it really is. And we're going to see some of the cool features in this museum and learn some really interesting things about the state of Oklahoma as a whole and what's come from Oklahoma. Did you know, I believe it was the artificial heart was invented in Oklahoma. And I believe also the first lung machine that breathed for you, I believe that was also in Oklahoma. So let's go to the museum, let's check it out, let's see if we can find these things. I believe the doctor's name who invented these were Dr. Zarudi. So it's really interesting. There is, well, I'm not gonna spoil anything else. Let's go to the museum, let's check it out, and let's enjoy it together. Come on along on the journey with me. Here we have a replica, I believe, of the Winnie Mae. So the Winnie Mae was based out of Oklahoma. And it looks like it was even sponsored by Phillips 77 Aviation. That's interesting. From what I'm told, the museum has 4 galleries, 2 on the first floor and 2 on the third floor. The second floor, I'm told, is all about offices. So let's start on the first floor and see what we see. Gallery 1. So here we see a display of items that were traded by the French. These are from about 1719 to 1763. French traders introduced new technology such as firearms to the Wichitas. The iron gun barrel has been hammered into a wedge and may have been used as a scraper. The lock plate and other pieces from a flintlock rifle assembly. The brass butt plate is typically hardware found on trade guns. Here we have a display for Schwab and Company. Now, Schwab and Company is the oldest fresh and cured meat supplier in Oklahoma. George Peter Schwab, a native of Germany who landed at Ellis Island in 1890, brought his old world German sausage recipes to Oklahoma City and opened his first plant in 1912. It has remained a family operation for 5 generations. A key to its success has been retention of the original recipes and smoking process. In 2007, the family invested $2 million in an expansion that included 2 600-foot smokehouses where they could smoke hot dogs for 2.5 hours, turkeys for 10 hours, and hams for 12 hours. Of more than 150 different products, the most unusual specialty item has been smoked turkey legs. During the State Fair of Oklahoma in 2007, more than 100,000 turkey legs were sold. Back at about the time Oklahoma became a state in 1907, cotton was an inexpensive crop to get into, and it was a great cash crop, trading at nearly twice the value of wheat or corn or other crops. So many people got into growing cotton because it was inexpensive and easy to start getting into to make money. So it became a great cash crop right around the 1900s to 1929, 1930-ish, and Oklahoma became a state in 1907. Wiley Post Airport is still an airport in Oklahoma City. It is in the northwest quarter of Oklahoma City. In 1928, the Curtiss Wright Corporation invested $115,000 in an airfield north of what was then Oklahoma City. It is now actually part of Oklahoma City, near a new housing addition called Nichols Hills. The most prominent structure was a hangar built with metal trusses and sliding doors. 4 years later, the hangar was leased to two men. One was Wiley Post, who worked on his beloved Winnie Mae under the trusses, and the other was Paul Braniff. Now, also interesting about Wiley Post Airport, we've been there in a previous video. The Oklahoma Museum of Flying is actually at the Wiley Post Airport. So go ahead and look up that video. That's actually a pretty popular video, and there's some really beautiful, functional airplanes in that video. The first half of that video looks at some of the accomplishments of Dr. Hissey, who owns or runs that museum. And the second half of the video looks at the collection of airplanes, and they are functional, they are still working on those airplanes, and they even compete in competitions. From 1934, this is actually what the first high altitude flight suit looked like. So to withstand flying at that kind of altitude, the pilot and anyone else on the plane had to wear these special suits to be pressurized properly and to have the oxygen that they needed. Now it's very normal to fly at high altitudes in a typical commercial aircraft. The world's first parking meter was actually invented in Oklahoma City, but it was invented in 1935, and it was invented as a solution to a parking problem where people would park and stay all day when the stores wanted the cars to turn over so that their shoppers could get in and shop. Here is a device that was made by the Kimray Company. The Kimray Company still exists today. They make parts for pumping systems, especially for pumping crude oil. Kimray is based in Oklahoma City. Sonic was originally founded in Oklahoma, and here's a replica of an original Sonic. It has since been bought out and moved to Georgia. Behind me is an iron lung from the 1940s, and it was primarily used for patients with polio. The iron lung machine is a mechanical respirator used to assist with breathing. It is a type of negative pressure ventilator used on patients in early stage polio whose muscle groups were paralyzed. The iron lung would help by expanding and contracting the patient's lungs, helping to simulate inhaling and exhaling. This machine was used at the Crippled Children's Hospital in Oklahoma City throughout the 1940s, and it was refurbished in 1980. Here is a display about Dr. Zeruti, which we had talked about earlier. Let's take a closer look. So this machine here that we're looking at is the total intentional hemodulation and the double helix. Now that doesn't mean a lot to me. Let's read what this is. So Dr. Zeruti's original modifications to the Dewell-Lengther heart and lung machine occurred at the 13th Street Mercy Hospital in Oklahoma City. So right here in Oklahoma City, this was developed. And here it says, this was the first community in the world to do open heart surgery, the first hospital in the world to cool internally with the Zeruti heat exchanger, and the first in the world to use a non-hemic prime in our heart and lung machine, producing total hemodulation. On top of that, we produced an artificial heart and several other experiments, but I knew what was going on was revolutionary. Visitors from all over the world were coming to Mercy Hospital. And this was from Sister Marianne Alvarera, who was at the Mercy Hospital during the time these machines were in use. Here's a picture of Dr. Zeruti. Love's Travel Stops is actually headquartered in Oklahoma City. And the founder and president of Love's recently passed away. So the company is still running to this day and still headquartered in Oklahoma City. So you've been hearing this a little bit in the background. There is a Kilgan pipe organ here. This is actually a functional pipe organ, but you haven't been hearing this one specifically playing right now. They have concerts with it, but they have this replica set up here so that you can press the buttons and hear the different notes and sounds of the organ. All right, let's move on to the second gallery. This gallery is dedicated to the Native Americans or First Americans. Let's go to the right. Here we see a log home. Here we see cradle boards, which were used to carry babies. Here's a headdress from the Cheyenne from roughly the early 1900s. Oklahoma has quite a history in both flight and space. Here is a cutout of astronaut Thomas Stafford, who's from Oklahoma. Now he recently, very recently, this year, passed away. And there is a large air and space museum that he founded. Maybe one day we'll go visit that. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like to visit the Stafford Air and Space Museum. Here we have a stagecoach from 1922 that was originally used in motion pictures. All right, gallery number 3 that we will enter. So gallery number 3, I believe, is dedicated to the oil and gas industry. And we are captured right away by this Studebaker that's outside the gallery. And then gas pumps and the Kermke garage. Here's a seismic recording truck cab. Now, originally during World War I, these were used to pinpoint seismic activity from bombs. But in later years, it became something that was used to pinpoint rock formations that could potentially have oil and gas. These were manufactured in Tulsa, Oklahoma. This particular unit was used in Osage County and was capable of the analog recording of 24 seismic traces using Midwestern equipment. The operations of a similar seismic truck and crew are depicted in the painting above the cab. So up here we can see what it would be like to have them out taking measurements. Here we have a very well-known statue that is found in Tulsa, Oklahoma. His name is the Golden Driller. A golden driller first welcomed visitors to the International Petroleum Exposition in 1953. The Mid-Continent Supply Company brought the statue back for the 1959 IPE. He was so popular that the Tulsa Fairgrounds decided to create a permanent statue to stand outside Expo Square on 21st Street. The current Golden Driller was erected in 1966. His belt buckle originally read Mid-Continent, but was changed in 1979 to read Tulsa. He has become a beloved icon of Tulsa's time as the oil capital of the world. And it stands 76 feet tall. Well, not the replica, the real one stands 76 feet tall. Behind me is a simulator that you can actually hands-on use to simulate drilling for oil. This is what they do on a drilling rig. Those pipes are fitted and then drilled down, and then a new one is fitted on top, and they continue fitting new extensions on the drill to continue drilling down to the oil deposits. Around Oklahoma, you'll see a lot of oil jacks, sometimes referred to as oil pumps, if you're not familiar with the term oil jack. The way they work is actually shown in here. With this button, we can see that the jack goes up and down like this, which leaves you curious as to what it's doing. Well, at the end of the head here is where the magic happens. It pushes down into the oil, and then it lifts the oil up like that. And then it comes up through the pipes and into storage tanks. Here we have a custom-made motorcycle by Orange County Choppers. This is actually run off natural gas, and it was commissioned by Chesapeake Energy to celebrate their 20th anniversary. Unfortunately, like the rest of the nation, around the 1950s, Oklahoma also had race problems. Now, part of the fix to the race problems, however, did happen in Oklahoma. And here is an example of some of that with 2 different water fountains for different races of people. Here's a replica of the Cat's drugstore counter. So on August 19, 1958, 2 years before the Greensboro, North Carolina sit-ins, Clara Luper led her NAACP Youth Council volunteers to Cat's drugstore to ask for service. This act of civil disobedience led to the eventual integration of Oklahoma City eating establishments. The 14 youths endured harassment, but continued to carry out Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s policy of nonviolent protest. From this small act, the NAACP and Clara Luper not only opened up all of Oklahoma City's restaurants for African Americans, but by the mid-1960s, all of Oklahoma City's public accommodations, including its amusement parks and swimming pools, were integrated. Behind me is a display from the Civil War. Now, we don't typically think of Oklahoma and the Civil War, but Honey Springs is a very well-known battlefield in Oklahoma that was part of the Civil War. And here we see a gun used in the Civil War. We would think of this as a cannon, but it's actually referred to as a gun. Maybe one of these days we'll take a trip down to Honey Springs. Let me know if that sounds interesting to you, to see the history of the Civil War in Oklahoma. Here we see a 1912 International Freight truck that was operated by Leeway Motor Freight Company. Let's enter gallery number 4. Dresses from First Lady Rhonda Walters and Jeanette Edmondson. Here we see a bust of Jim Thorpe. Jim Thorpe is celebrated as one of the greatest athletes of all time. An enrolled member of the SAC and Fox Nation, Thorpe succeeded in track and field, baseball, and football, and even gained recognition as an award-winning ballroom dancer. Yet the conditions under which Thorpe forged his athletic prowess were shaped by the policies and practices of the time. Here we have a leotard from 1996 from Sharon Miller, who was the gold medalist in the Atlanta Olympics. Here we have an interactive display to the musical Oklahoma. Now here you can press a button and you can sing and dance along. There are even props and costumes you can wear. Right here, we actually have the Surrey that was used for the touring company of Oklahoma. Here we have a replica sod house. It's actually made with mud walls and grass actually growing on it. There were simple houses with a bed, a wood stove, and a little table in the corner. That's about all they had. The wood stove was used for cooking and heating their sod house. Now you'll see this one has a fabric roof. The fabric roof would help keep the dirt from falling on you and the bugs from falling out of the sod roof. The Oklahoma History Center is actually a fantastic museum. I really enjoyed my visit. Watch my step there. It is $12.50 to get in and well worth the cost of admission. We barely scratched the surface of everything that there is to see and do in the Oklahoma History Center. So during your next trip through Oklahoma City, I recommend stopping here. Don't forget to like, comment, let me know what your favorite exhibit was, and subscribe so that you are aware of future adventures. Let me know what adventure we should go on next down in the comments below. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you on our next adventure.